Jalen Hurts and a reinforced run defense get the Eagles past the Colts. And now it's Aaron Rodgers and the stunningly 4-7 Packers in for Sunday Night Football. A bad week in New York and Los Angeles. Sal Pal has your top five, and Sal and Gary Myers on the wonderful tradition of Turkey Day football. That's all right now on This Week in Pro Football.
It's time for This Week in Pro Football. A deep dive into the key issues and marquee matchups in the National Football League. For the next 60 minutes, we invite you to sit back or lean in with host Pat Callahan as we preview the week's Eagles matchup, big games, breaking stories, and all news NFL. It's This Week in Pro Football, right now on JAKIB Media Sports.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special edition, a live Tuesday edition of This Week in Pro Football here on JAKIB Sports. Pat Callahan joining you. Give me a follow at TWIPF Pat. Give the network a follow at JAKIB Sports as we get set for some Thursday football. And for the first time really in a while, I think you got three pretty good games on the marquee for Thursday. A resurgent Detroit Lion team, 3 wins in a row, hosting the Buffalo Bills and their second home in Detroit. Philadelphia. The New York Giants. Philadelphia will be interested in the New York Giants going to Dallas to play the Cowboys in the Fox game Thursday afternoon. And then Thursday night, the New England Patriots have the misfortune of going to Minnesota. And I say that because very tough for a team to go on the road, 3 days rest to play a Thanksgiving night game this week. The Patriots have that distinction. But still should be a good game. That Patriot defense is a tough out. So we look forward to those 3 games. We'll be talking about those games all throughout this hour-long edition of This Week in Pro Football. All right, Xander, you want to bring in Vince Lombardi here? Let's do a little what the hell is going on out there. The object is to win, ladies and gentlemen. The Eagles get to 9-1. I guess you'd call it an ugly win over the Colts. The Eagles weren't leading. They were trailing the entire game until the end, but Jalen Hurts, who continues to impress each and every week with just his moxie and his seemingly calm under pressure, took the Eagles down the field there. A wonderful play call, the quarterback draw to score that touchdown and to win the game 17-16. Teams go through this. The Eagles weren't going to go 17-0. Teams go through this. They go through these valleys. The Eagles are fighting through them. And anytime you can win, not play well and win, as Sal has said repeatedly, it is very hard to go on the road and win in the National Football League. Philadelphia did it. Pretty good reinforcements. And Dominican Sue, Linval Joseph both played notably in that game and played well. I think 2 good additions by Howie there, at least so far, as the Eagles try and shore up that run defense. They did a pretty good job against Jonathan Taylor, although the Colts helped out by not running Taylor as much as probably they should have. Indianapolis just having a lost season. Get off my lawn, Nick Sirianni. I'll be very brief about this. Dan Cilio talked about it more at length in another show on this network. But I just want to say, I wish Nick would stop with those histrionics, either with the opposing team's sideline, if a particular play happens, or if somebody hits Jalen Hurts. Just calm down, Nick. There's no need to jump up onto a bench and start yelling at Colt fans who may have been taunting you throughout the game. Just let it go. You're an NFL coach. There's only 32 of you. You shouldn't be listening to them at all. Bad weeks in Los Angeles and New York. Speaking about get off my lawn, here is a word of advice for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I know this is a stunner, but how about this? Cover Travis Kelce. It's just unbelievable. I mean, did you see if you watched the game Sunday night, the Chiefs just walked down the field at the end of that game, and you just knew it. You just knew it. There was not a chance in the world the Chargers were going to win that game. Sure enough, crossing pattern to Kelce. There's nobody within 5 yards of him. Touchdown. Chiefs win. Devastating loss for the Chargers, who are now 3.5 games behind Kansas City. The Chiefs are now the number 1 seed in the AFC as it is right now. The Rams are a complete disaster. Let's have some time to talk to Sal about this maybe in future weeks. Has a team ever fallen as precipitously as the Rams have from Super Bowl champion to a team that today waived their leading rusher, Darrell Henderson? Unbelievable. In New York, sorry, the Jets have a quarterback problem. We'll try and discuss maybe a little bit of that with Gary Myers later on. The Jets, Zach Wilson has some growing up to do, and also some learning to do to how to be an NFL quarterback. He cut some classes at Brigham Young. So I think the Jets are going to have to make some decisions because they are in the wild card hunt, and it's not like they're playing for next year. For once, they're playing for December. The Giants got a wake-up call, and that's something I will talk with Sal about because I always doubted the Giants. I just don't think Daniel Jones has the firepower or is the answer. Another big injury at wide receiver. I think the Giants might be in for a rough December. 5 of their last 7 against NFC East opponents. The NFC playoffs are nearly set. Quite frankly, to me, there's only one spot that isn't going to be filled. I think the 4 division winners are already decided. I think it's Seattle may battle San Francisco, but I think it's going to be the Niners. It's going to be the Vikings, whether they deserve it or not. Tampa Bay is going to survive in that South, and I think Philadelphia will win in the East. And I think there's 4 teams vying for a wild card. No one's coming out of the South or the North. It's going to be the Seattle-San Francisco loser, and 2 of those other 3 in the NFC East. It's going to be a fascinating run in the NFC East because a lot of intra-division games. As I mentioned, Green Bay is at Philadelphia Sunday night football. The Packers coming in. We'll talk to Sal about this. It's just amazing how some of these powerhouses in the NFL have hit the skids in 2022, one being Green Bay. Little ray of hope. A week ago, they defeat the Cowboys at home. The stirring fourth quarter comeback. Has the ship been righted? Is Aaron back? And 1 week later, the Tennessee Titans rumble in with that refrigerator with legs, Derrick Henry. And the Titans just beat you up. They are the most anonymous, really good team in the NFL the last 5 years. The Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel doing a heck of a job as a coach. Xander, let's get this guy in here right now, the host of the NFL Matchup Show and my longtime colleague, NFL correspondent and radio voice for ESPN. That would be Sal Paolantonio. How you doing, Sal?
Pat, I'm doing great. I am doing great. I can't believe it's week 12 already, and we got Sunday night football in Philadelphia. It's really exciting. Really,
it is. It is. And just give me some observations. Last Sunday, Philadelphia wins. I think some good reinforcements in the defensive line. And my take, Sal, is that the Eagles did not play that well, but good teams managed to win those kind of games.
Well, you had 2 fourth-quarter touchdown drives by Jalen Hurts. And it's clear that Sirianni just went to him on the bench and said, "We need you to bail us out here." That happened. It's they both talked about it. And when you have a quarterback who can follow through like that on the road, that's not easy to do, as you just mentioned. So I think Jalen Hurts, his ability to lead, his ability to be creative in the moment. They have great tight red zone meetings on Friday afternoons led by Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and Shane Steichen, and they go over every possible contingency. And that play was in the package, and they saw it, and they called it.
Oh, it's perfect.
Quarterback draw, it was perfect. The great shot of Jason Kelsey pulling and picking off the linebacker at the second level so he can't get near Jalen Hurts was it's poetry in motion. So they did an absolutely fantastic job. Now, of course, Pat, they really shouldn't have been in that situation because they should have had a better plan to replace Dallas Goedert. And they know going into the game that Dallas Goedert has been targeted 53 times, caught 43 balls. Yeah. That's the highest catch ratio for any tight end or wide receiver with over 50 targets going into week 11.
Okay.
So he has been a security blanket for Jalen Hurts. And the lineup is obvious, that formation where he lines up tight to the formation on the left side. It got them out of trouble so many times on third down. And with him not being in the game, they didn't really have a good answer to the puzzle that Jalen Hurts saw early in the game. So as a result, he had 16 design runs in the game. That's second most this season.
Yep.
And so their answer was, okay, Jalen Hurts, bail us out. And I think it'll be the same way against the Packers on Sunday night. I think this will be an RPO game with Jalen Hurts featured as a running back mostly.
But you've mentioned that, Sal, in the past, and no better example. Justin Fields in Chicago was running very frequently with the Bears. Gets away with it for about 3 or 4 weeks during a heck of a run, but now he paid the price last week.
Yep,
and I don't think it's a recipe for Philadelphia to succeed into late January and possibly February by having a Jalen Hurts substitute for Dallas Goedert.
No, you're right, Pat. You're absolutely right. And we saw Lamar Jackson get hurt last year at the end of the year.
Yep.
Justin Fields this year. Tua got concussed.
Yep.
Cost the Dolphins a couple of games.
Yeah.
So these quarterbacks that are mobile, the exception, of course, being Patrick Mahomes, but he doesn't run.
No, he doesn't.
He'll go, he'll extend plays, and he's a dual threat in that way.
Exactly.
So I think so far, because Jalen Hurts has been a weight room monster, and is so strong, he has taken the second most hits of any quarterback this year, and I'm knocking on wood, Pat.
That's right. That's right.
I'm knocking on wood. And the running quarterbacks and the amount of running by quarterbacks and the bad play by quarterbacks in the passing game has sent us prehistoric in the NFL, back to the future. Let me give you this. In 2022, scoring per team per game is at a 5-year low.
Yeah.
Touchdown passes, Pat. Going into week 12, there are 451 touchdown passes, only 451 thrown. 2 years ago, going into week 12, that number was 553.
Wow.
That's a reduction of 102 touchdown passes in just 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember that 70s show? We're playing that 70s football, Pat.
How about that? I should love this. How about that? That's a great stat there. All right, listen, Sal, when we get back, we have a lot to talk about here. I want to talk to you about the Sunday night game, and in particular, I want to posit something about A.J. Brown, something that just puzzles me. Maybe you could shed some light on it. Then we'll do a little top 5. We'll look around the NFL. That's all next. All next with Sal Powell on This Week in Pro Football.
First Bank is a true community bank with offices located throughout eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Being a First Bank customer comes with access to personal bankers, ones who know you and your business almost as well as you do. Joe Calabro is a regional president of First Bank and has been a leader and a lender in the southeastern Pennsylvania market for over 30 years. Call their Westchester office, 484-881-3800. First Bank is an equal opportunity lender and member FDIC.
Concrete Cutting Systems Incorporated, the concrete cutting specialists in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. These guys are celebrating their 28th anniversary as the industry leader in the field of concrete cutting and robotic demolition. Any type of concrete cutting or drilling, concrete demolition or interior excavating, call the specialists. Concrete Cutting Systems. They're the only full union concrete cutting company based in Philadelphia. Call the guys today at 215-533-0652. The website is concretecuttingsystems.net. Let's go Eagles.
UGI Energy Services knows how dedicated you are to your teams, and that's how they feel about their customers. UGI Energy Services, a natural gas and electric provider servicing Philadelphia and the surrounding areas for decades. They're your local partner for energy planning and budgeting with sound purchasing advice and direct pricing. UGI Energy Services values customers and believes in building honest relationships. Let them help you save money on your energy bill and make enjoying the game that much sweeter. Get started with a free quote today at UGIES.com.
Cantor, Novak, Beaver & Pike is a full-service CPA firm with offices in PA and New Jersey, offering first-rate accounting, audit, and tax services. They focus on helping clients achieve their business and financial goals, from startup operation to long-term financial planning. For more information, call Terry Cantor or Dan Pike at 215-550-2954 or on the web at cnbpcpas.com.
Are you looking for a family-friendly fitness center in the heart of Bucks County? Spring Mill Athletic Club has programs and activities to offer the whole family for every age and season. Group classes, personal training, dance academy, summer camp, and more can be found at this non-intimidating environment. Come tour Spring Mill Athletic Club today and get a free 1-week trial membership. Visit us at springmillathleticlub.com for more information.
I want to be a game changer in construction. I want to be able to provide diversity in the workforce, and it starts at the top. I started Rodriguez Construction Group in 2013 with 2 employees, and we're 85 strong today. M&T has been a great partner since day one, providing us the access, the opportunity, the funding to be able to continue our growth. We can change the community in a positive way, one person at a time, one job at a time, and one family at a time. I think M&T Bank is very committed to the community, just like us.
All right. Welcome back to This Week in Pro Football. Pat Callahan here on JAKIB Sports at TWIPF Pat on Twitter. And here with the great Sal Paolantonio from ESPN and the host of the NFL Matchup Show. Check it out every Saturday, Sunday on the mothership. Sal, I just want to talk to me about this A.J. Brown thing. I mean, it just perplexed me all season. He has 49 receptions. He's 20th in the NFL in pass receptions. He has 3 less receptions than does Devonta Smith. And yet every week you hear about, he is the Eagles WR1 and he could be a dominant wide receiver. It just seems to me, Sal, like he's Sunday. 3 catches for 25 yards, seemingly in the first 2 series the Eagles had the ball. He finishes with 5 catches on the day. Does he disappear from the game plan because the defense takes him out, or do the Eagles just start to look elsewhere?
I think it's because defenses are taking him out, Pat. They are double teaming him. You saw that. The Commanders did it quite a bit. This is a run-based offense, so there's that. And his numbers, historically haven't been great. He's never had 100 catches. The bottom line is Jalen Hurts is trying to distribute the ball more. When Dallas Goedert was in there, I already mentioned he had 53 targets and 43 catches.
Right.
His third down production was off the charts good. So, last week, look at what A.J. Brown did. He had
5 for 60.
Yeah, well, you're right. He had 5 catches for 60. And, but 5 and 7 targets. He had 7 targets. I mean, should they have a greater volume? I would think so. Yeah. But they are a run-based offense. To me, A.J. Brown is not the issue on offense. The issue on offense to me is they're not getting enough production in the passing game from their running backs. Both of their running backs, all 3 actually, are good pass catchers. Yeah. And Kenneth Gainwell had just 1 touch in the game, Pat. Just 1.
Yep. Well, Sal, there is the exact answer to the absence of Dallas Goedert. That could be your safety valve now on 3rd down. I'd rather see that than see Jalen Hurts risk. But I mean, he is a smooth runner. There's no doubt about it. But it's just too big a risk, as you and I were just talking about. Now, all right, Sal, the Packers now come into town 4-7, coming off I'll use the term desultory loss to the Tennessee Titans, in that I didn't think they ever really threatened Tennessee the whole game. This coming off an emotional 4th quarter comeback win against Dallas. Where do you see Green Bay coming into this game now? Are they a desperate team that the Eagles got to be watchful of, or are they going to be playing out the string?
Well, I think, they've won a lot of their games against NFC opponents. They get up for their NFC games, and they've won a lot of games in the last 2 years against their NFC opponents. This is going to be a tight game. I don't see the Eagles blowing the Packers out because Aaron Rodgers can still throw the football. And, he had problems against Tennessee. So the Eagles have to do the same thing that Mike Vrabel's defense did, and that is take away Aaron Jones and make Aaron Rodgers throw the ball downfield, tighten up the defense. And you gotta say hats off to Howie Roseman and the entire staff of the Philadelphia Eagles to get Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph up to speed. And the number of snaps that they had is unbelievable. 40% of the defensive snaps for Joseph and 26% for Sue, and that made Hargrave and Fletcher Cox a lot more fresh during the game.
Right. That's amazing. How immediate those 2 had an impact. I think that's going to be, assuming that there's no complaining about maybe a perceived lack of usage. I think that bodes very well for the Eagles down the stretch.
It does, Pat. But you know what? They had fresh legs, and even Linval Joseph said, "I'm not worried about the first game. I'm worried about the second game," right? These 13-year vets. Yeah. Let's see how their bodies react to those car wrecks that they had in Indianapolis on that hard field turf surface of Lucas Oil Stadium. Right. That's also a key. I'm going to see how they react this week.
As you mentioned, Sal, you got Aaron Jones and Corey Dillon this week. And looking ahead, which I know you don't like me to do, but still, they brought those guys in also, I'm sure, with an eye towards Saquon Barkley twice. You've still got Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott one more time, a lot. And you get into December, teams start running the ball more anyway because of the weather. I think it's a pretty good strategic move by the Eagles.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They did a great job. I mean, Tracy Rocker, their defensive line coach, did a fantastic job of getting the both of them up on the nomenclature and the calls. Of course, these have got a 13-year vet, so they've heard everything, seen everything, especially Sue. But Joseph just manhandled the middle of that Colts offensive line over and over again. I mean, he was playing like he was 26 years old. Very impressive performance by both of them.
Jason Kelsey, I think it was Kelsey who mentioned that he felt Joseph was always one of the toughest guys he ever had to play against because he's a massive guy, but he has tremendous upper body strength. So a good move by Philadelphia. All right, Sal, let me segue before we get to this top five. And mine is markedly different than yours now. So I don't, but it's going to happen. But just give me some comments on the NFC East. I thought the Giants were due for that kind of a game because they just couldn't make, in my opinion, Sal, they couldn't make that kind of leap to a top-tier NFC team. And I think they got a little bit of a comeuppance last week. What do you think of the Giants right now?
Well, the Lions took away Saquon Barkley, and Mike Kafka, comes out of the Andy Reid school right from Kansas City. And, we all know that Andy Reid will give up on the running game too early.
Right.
And that's what Mike Kafka did in that game. He gave up on it. I mean, you got to keep pounding it.
Yeah.
If you're not getting production, get the volume to the point where you're not asking the very limited Daniel Jones with a very limited wide receiving core. They're so limited, they're thinking about bringing in Odell Beckham Jr., bringing him back, which would be insane if that happened.
Yeah.
But that they are challenged throwing the ball when Saquon Barkley is not effective or not used enough. And that, to me, they fell right into the trap that Detroit handed to them.
Yeah. And conversely, the Cowboys coming off that loss to Green Bay a week before seemingly clicked everything together in a demolition of the, again, I believe, suspect Minnesota Vikings 40-3 on the road. So now just a quick word, Sal, on this game Thursday, New York at Dallas. The preliminary indication would be the Giants are in for a really long day. Do you see this perhaps, though, like you do the Sunday night game? Do you see this as being a tighter game than the odds makers look at it?
I don't know, Pat. I don't know. I think the Giants are running into a steamroller. I really do. I don't see quick turnaround on the road against a team that's feeling it, all chesty right now. I think it's going to be hard for them.
I think it's going to be. So do I.
The only hope is that, their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, leads the NFL in blitz percentage as he has in the last 3 weeks. They just got to blitz Dak Prescott and hope for the best. That's what they got to do.
And the best has to be some short fields. They need a tip ball, a pick, something to happen off that blitz that gets them a 25-yard field instead of a 75-yard field. Because I agree. I don't think Daniel Jones can do it against the Cowboys defense. All right, Xander, if you want to bring this up here, let's do a little top five, Sal and I, and I'll point out where Sal's wrong. But Sal on the left.
We're not that far off, Pat.
Well, we've got, you're right. We got the Eagles and Chiefs the same. So we both read that the same way. Sal, I think that the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, is really performing very well, even though, of course, the L.A. Chargers can't help but be the L.A. Chargers. If he played them every week, he'd have a yellow jacket already. But give me your thoughts now on your 3 to 5 and why you ranked them that way.
All right. Well, first of all, the Eagles are plus 80 in point differential, and they're 5-0 on the road. So they're to me the number one team, despite how pyrotechnic the Chiefs look. I still have Eagles 1 and Chiefs 2, and I think if they played head to head right now, it would be a really great game. I have the Niners number 3. I realize there's some recency bias there because of what happened in Monday Night Football, Mexico City. The Cardinals are just a god awful football team on both sides of the ball. Nevertheless, the Niners have components on offense and defense that can work if Jimmy G is not throwing it to the other team. The Dolphins are an offensive juggernaut. Their defense is, good, not great, but they can score for sure. That's why they lead the AFC East. And the Cowboys, I don't see how you can ignore that win in Minnesota, Pat. I just don't.
Yeah. I think you're right, though. Now that I look at it, we're identical on 3 of the 5. So the only ones that I differed with you on, I still think the Bills will get that ship righted. As I mentioned earlier in this show, teams are going to go through this. They just got to calm Josh Allen down. That's what the Bills have to do. No, I'm
going to disagree with you, Pat. I know it's This Week in Pro Football, but Josh Allen, although he threw that pick in the red zone and had that fumble, he should have never been in that position. That game to me comes down to Sean McDermott, who runs the defense with Leslie Frazier.
Right.
They are playing too far off the ball. They're letting guys like Justin Jefferson get a free release, just like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce did in the divisional round playoff game last year.
Right.
And just like the Chargers did with the Chiefs. And you said in your open, which was a great line, you think you might want to cover Travis Kelce. Well, guess what? No, you don't want to cover him. You want to double cover him.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Double cover the guy.
Amazing. No. Well, you don't want to.
You cannot let him beat you.
Yeah, no, you want to double cover Sky Moore, and come on, it's amazing. So, all right, I'll grant you that. My comment about Allen was simply that by calm down, he sometimes I think he believes he's invulnerable, and he tries to thread balls that he has no business trying to thread. And the Bills took my advice, Sal, last week. They kicked 6 field goals and won comfortably. Take the 3 when the 3 presents itself.
Take the 3. Play up on the line of scrimmage, hold those wide receivers and tight ends to account in the first 5 yards of their breaks.
Yeah.
And then most important, give the young man a viable running game.
Yeah.
Come on.
I agree.
It's taken him how long with Josh Allen?
I know.
He can't be their number 1 running back and their number 1 passer.
Yeah. And then I mentioned, Sal, Tennessee, the most anonymous good team in NFL history. They just win games. Tennessee is at 7-3 right now.
And where were they last year? The same.
I know, a number 1 seed, Sal. I know about that. But like as my mentor tells me, it's this week. And right now, the Titans, what they do is they just plot out there and they just say, we are just going to fall all over you for 60 minutes. And they end up winning the game. So I think Tennessee, they're never going to beat the Chiefs. But I think they are a formidable out for every other team in the AFC.
I'll say this about this Sunday night game. If the Eagles get down early like they did against the Colts, be much harder to come back in this game than it was against Indianapolis, even if it's at home.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row now, they've been down early. Commanders,
yes.
Colts.
Yes. Yep. And here you got a whole different level of quarterback coming in right now. So it's good advice.
Jalen Hurts saved their bacon in the fourth quarter of that game.
And he was going to save it the previous Monday against Washington. He was about to save it too. So you're right. You're certainly right on both counts.
Yeah.
Yep. So that flew by. It flew by as it always does when you and I talk. And I appreciate you taking the time very much. And I want you to have a good Thanksgiving. Take the whole day off. All right. I insist. And I know you'll be at the link probably Sunday.
Yes.
And we look forward to seeing your reports. We look forward to the matchup show certainly this weekend too. So thanks very much, Sal, and have a good Thanksgiving. All right.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and everybody who watches This Week in Pro Football and everybody at JAKIB Media. It's been fantastic. First 12 weeks.
Yep.
Let's do it again, Pat. Let's do it again.
All right. Thanks very much, Sal. The great Sal Paolantonio joining me. All right. Let's get some necessary evils in here. We get some sponsors in. And then when I get back, it's going to be Sean Green from the Bet SGPN's podcast, sports gambling podcast, will be joining me here on This Week in Pro Football. We'll talk about some props, and we'll talk about that Sunday night game. So all right now on This Week in Pro Football.
I grew up in a home, and I wanted my kids to have that. The process of buying a home seemed so daunting, but Christine and M&T believed in me. everyone took an interest and helped me through the process. You don't get this kind of service everywhere. I closed on the house and I didn't tell the kids. They were like, "You got the key? You closed on the home?" They were so happy. M&T Bank made this dream come true for me and my girls.
UGI Energy Services knows how dedicated you are to your teams, and that's how they feel about their customers. UGI Energy Services, a natural gas and electric provider servicing Philadelphia and the surrounding areas for decades. They're your local partner for energy planning and budgeting with sound purchasing advice and direct pricing. UGI Energy Services values customers and believes in building honest relationships. Let them help you save money on your energy bill and make enjoying the game that much sweeter. Get started with a free quote today at ugies.com.
At Whistler Pearlstein LLP, we assemble the most effective team to handle all of your legal needs. There are players and pretenders, but our hustle and heart set us apart. In practice now for over 75 years, we're proud to be one of the most prominent full-service law firms in the Philadelphia region. We offer 17 different areas of practice, including business, corporate, and tax education law, real estate, zoning, and land development, municipal law, and litigation. Our top-rated attorneys and staff are laser-focused on client success. We strive to provide outstanding legal counsel with the highest level of care and consideration. Let us show you the Whistler way. Learn more at whistlerpearlstein.com or email Michael J. O'Donohue at mod@whistpearl.com. whistlerpearlstein.com or mod@whistpearl.com.
Concrete Cutting Systems Incorporated, the concrete cutting specialists in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. These guys are celebrating their 28th anniversary as the industry leader in the field of concrete cutting and robotic demolition. Any type of concrete cutting or drilling, concrete demolition or interior excavating, call the specialists. Concrete Cutting Systems. They're the only full union concrete cutting company based in Philadelphia. Call the guys today at 215-533-0652. The website is concretecuttingsystems.net. Let's go Eagles.
It was late at night. I was browsing KennedyAuto.com when there was a knock at my door.
Hey, baby, what you doing?
Buying a car from John Kennedy Ford.
Online?
I let her in on the secret. KennedyAuto.com makes car buying easy. That got her attention.
Can I go for a ride?
Let me get my coat. KennedyAuto.com. Enjoy your ride.
Welcome back this week in pro football. Pat Callahan here on JAKIB Sports, halfway through our Thanksgiving edition of this high-quality television program. Thanks again to Sal Pao for joining us. Now I'd like to bring on another broadcasting partner of mine. That'd be the great Sean Green from the Bet SGPN, the Sports Gambling Podcast. You know what, Sean? I thought the SG always stood for Sean Green. Now I see that. Now, which is? Now, be honest. Which is it? Is it you or is it Sports Gambling?
Yeah, a little of both, I guess.
All right, look at you.
Everyone
Andre there.
Yeah, take care of both things one time. So yeah, can't complain there.
I'm looking at this website now, and everybody to check this out, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. One of the headlines, looking at the Arlington Renegades depth chart, prediction and analysis. Do you ever sleep? I mean, are you telling me that I'm looking at this at NBA, and you got almost every NBA game going. I mean, what are you doing there? Have you bent the space-time continuum? How you doing all this?
Well, you see, I have that. If you're a fan of Back to the Future, you can see right behind me. I got Gray's Almanac with all the stats from the future. So it's pretty easy. I just look up there and enter it into the website. We have a ton of guys working for us, cranking out blogs, website stuff, podcasts. We got the app. So really a company that never sleeps. And we got someone for everything.
All right. Excellent job. I want everybody to check it out. Please do that. And Sean, brought to us by the great folks at UGI. All right, Sean, give me your take. Let's just deal with the Sunday night game. And what I wanted to start with is, I was asking Sal Pao this a few minutes ago, and I admit, full disclosure, I am an A.J. Brown fantasy owner, and this guy just disappears on me every single week. What is the prop yardage wise or reception wise for this guy Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, I most places don't have it up, but it should be right around like 70, 71 yards. Again, he should have a good game. He should have. They should have figured out a way to get him the ball a little bit more. Last game, it's weird. The offense was carrying the team early on in the season, and now it seems like the defense is kind of carrying them. Obviously, Jalen Hurts had that game-winning drive there at the end, but points allowed, yards per play, the defense has really kind of stepped up. Yeah.
Well, it's an ebb and flow of an NFL season, right? I mean, it's just never going to be 17 straight weeks of the same thing coming out. The Eagles offense appears to have hit a little bit of a plateau, Sean. But I think they'll rebound. I do think that they'll be able to figure it out. But Sunday night, what do you see in this game? Do you lean any particular way? Do you think it's going to be high scoring, low scoring? Give me some take.
I would go low scoring again. These primetime games have kind of turned in a little bit ugly, teams settling for field goals. And you watch that Thursday game against the Green Bay Packers or the Packers Titans. Aaron Rodgers just looks frustrated. He's like snapping off his chin strap. He's completely inaccurate, and that kind of plays into the strength of this Eagles team right now. They're fourth allowed in completion percentage. They're number one in yards per play allowed. So I think the Eagles defense actually matches up really well with this Green Bay team, and I think they'll be able to frustrate them at home and give their offense. They probably won't need a ton from their offense. So I could see this being a low scoring kind of ugly game. Maybe like a 24-13 Eagles, that kind of thing. So I like the Eagles and I like the under because I think it kind of plays into their hand where their defense is carrying the team.
I think Zach Wilson of the Jets is going to be a graduate of the Aaron Rodgers School of QB responsibility. Sean, the thing that Rodgers always strikes me with him is he makes it clear if the game's going poorly that it's not his fault. With the court, exactly. With the eye roll and the quarterback, the chin strap and the glaring to the sideline, it's always someone else's fault. And he's had a lot of practice this year, 7 losses. So I think.
Well, yeah, and if you've played sports, someone's always been on that team where they're super talented, but if they're missing shots, they're not making the right passes, then they're all upset, they're getting angry at everyone else. It just kind of kills the team chemistry, and it feels like that's what's happening with Green Bay right now.
Yeah. All right, Sean, another question I wanted to run by you. I always think of a couple of bizarre questions to run by Sean Green each week, and it just struck me last week that Tyler Bass, you've heard me screaming about this all season long. The Buffalo just would not kick a field goal, and I think they cost themselves a couple games because they insist on going for it when they're inside the 20-yard line. Well, lo and behold, 6 field goals for him. Brett Maher of the Cowboys kicks 4 from all of them over 50 yards. When you're looking at a game, how much attention do you pay to the kickers for each team?
Yeah, it's interesting. I probably should be paying attention more. I guess I just usually factor kickers and stuff in like the clutch factor where some of these teams just figure out ways to lose. The Chargers always had horrible kicking for years, and they're always a good team to fade like that. I don't necessarily spend as much time, maybe as I should, looking specifically at the kickers and kind of what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Dallas kicker was hilarious because I was playing the Dallas kicker in fantasy, and he single-handedly killed me, which is such a frustrating way to lose.
That is.
But you're right. I mean, again, it's funny. It speaks bigger to the NFL in general. You have these world-class athletes, and then some 160-pound skinny guy who played soccer most of his life is going to come in and decide the game after 3 hours of guys just smashing into each other. Yeah, no, you definitely should keep an eye on the field goal kicker and work it into your handicap for sure.
And the analytics, I think, Sean, are what are bending football right now, just like they have bent baseball into an unrecognizable sport. But the football now is that, it's better. You add more incremental points by going for it than if you settle for the 3. But to me, I don't know. 3 points it's 37% of 7, and if you do that a couple times, you've gotten yourself a touchdown that you're not going to get if you go for it. So it's an interesting discussion. Now, as to pick, Sean, I know it's only Tuesday. I know I'm being unfair to you because you haven't gone through your dusty bundles of old papers and things like that. But I'm going to make you make 3 anyway. But I'll go first just to give you every available minute to come up with. But what do you think of these 3? I like Minnesota Thursday night. And the reason why, Sean, is because I think, and I should be able to empirically back this up with my record and fact book, but I think the road team on Thanksgiving night has a terrible obstacle in front of them. You don't want to, the players don't want to be on the road. They don't want to be playing Thanksgiving night. And it's usually a good team that's playing host, and Minnesota coming off a terrible loss. I think it's a bad spot for New England. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to go against you on that one just because we got Kirk Cousins in prime time, who has really, he's really struggled. And I would also say the matchup to keep an eye on is the Patriots' run defense is very strong, and Matt Judon is right in the mix there for the Pats for Player of the Year. I think he might get some sacks. But I see the bounce back angle for the Vikings. But yeah, I'm leaning Pats there.
All right. And next one that you'll disagree with. I like Tennessee. They're getting 1.5. At least that's the way it looks right now. Cincinnati. I mean, I don't think anyone gives enough respect to the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned field goal kicking. I think coaching is huge too. And Mike Vrabel, I know he won it last year, probably wouldn't win back-to-back years, but he certainly deserves to be in the mix for Coach of the Year. Like, this guy just keeps winning games. And this is a really tough spot for Cincinnati. 1, I think they're still going to be able to get a pass rush to the Titans. 2, this is a back-to-back road spot for Cincinnati, which is really tough. So I like them as a home dog here.
Yeah, the trouble with Tennessee, Sean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but they're just not built for January. They're built for November and December. But when January comes, their lack of exceptional quarterback play and their lack of wide receiver skills always does them in. It's going to do it again. My third game is, and this is not a divisional game, but the Saints coming off a win against my beloved and your beloved Rams. 9.5. Look, the Niners are flashy. I know they got a ton of talent. I know. I can't stand the 49ers. But I think the Saints play hard every single week. I think 9.5 is too big a number here. Jimmy G is not as good as the Jimmy G that just played Monday night. I think New Orleans covers in this game.
Yeah, I mean, dogs have been great this year. I'm with you. I like the Saints and that massive number. Yeah, I think they're a little inflated, and teams coming off that short Monday night is going to be tough. They traveled all the way down to Mexico. They had a huge win. They're feeling themselves, so it's a good time to fade them. I'm with you. I like the Saints there.
All right, is there any other game that jumps off the schedule for you?
I mean, one of my favorite games is going to be the Seahawks laying 3.5 at home against a Raiders team. I mean, if you watch that Raiders team, they were not good. It was just which team was worse in that scenario. And the Broncos are really bad. And now you got to go the Pacific Northwest non-conference road game against a well-rested Seattle team that I think is just chomping at the bit to avenge their loss in Germany. And I think they're going to really take care of business against the Raiders. So I like the Seahawks laying 3.5 at home.
Seahawks are the NFC equivalent of Tennessee. I don't think anyone's paying much attention to Seattle, especially as you just mentioned, flash and dash to San Francisco. Seattle's kind of flying under the radar. I'd love to see them knock the 49ers off and win that division. So, all right. Well, yep. Anything else you like, or are you going to go with New England? Are you going with New England and New Orleans?
I'll toss in New England, Seattle, and then I'll also toss in the New York Giants there. I think you can get it at 9 points. I mean, this is a division game. And, one of the reasons Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday is that the Dallas Cowboys have been 1-10 against the spread the past 11 years. So it's an annual tradition. Eat a good meal and watch the Cowboys not cover. A lot of times lose outright. Last year I hit Deshaun Jackson first touchdown on top of it. So this is a division game. The Giants are going to be able to run the ball enough to keep them in it. And the Cowboys, it's a huge letdown spot for them at home.
I was thinking of benching Saquon. I really was. I was thinking of not playing Saquon, but you're telling me Sean Green, the guy who the SG stands for, SGPN, is telling me don't do that. throw him in there. Is that right?
Yeah, you're crazy. I know you're in the old man where there's no PPR, but still, he is going to get so many catches, so many receiving yards, so many rushing yards. They have no one else. He's gonna get like 40 touches.
I know. No, Matt Breida, 3-yard touchdown run. Boy, was I thrilled to see that Sunday.
That was bad.
Yeah. All right, Sean Green. Listen, the website is terrific. I want everybody to check it out. All you Arlington Renegade fans, check out that website, Bet SGPN. That's
You're gonna
terrific.
crash the server.
Good for you. And I really appreciate you doing this on short notice and coming in on Tuesday, Sean. Thanks very much. Please have a good Thanksgiving and root on the Rams. Rams are where are they? Are they back home this week? I don't even know.
Rams, they're in Kansas City. So
oh my God. Oh my God.
Sorry to hear. So sorry to hear.
All right, well, let's forget about that, Sean. Forget about it. But anyway, I appreciate you taking the time and have a good day Thursday. All right.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Sean Green joining me there. That's great. So, all right, we're moving along real quick here because Xander insists I get the hell out of here by 7 o'clock. So when we get back, Gary Myers is going to join me. We're going to look around the NFL, courtesy of M&T Bank, and talk about Thanksgiving Day football. That's next on This Week in Pro Football.
UGI Energy Services knows how dedicated you are to your teams, and that's how they feel about their customers. UGI Energy Services, a natural gas and electric provider servicing Philadelphia and the surrounding areas for decades. They're your local partner for energy planning and budgeting with sound purchasing advice and direct pricing. UGI Energy Services values customers and believes in building honest relationships. Let them help you save money on your energy bill and make enjoying the game that much sweeter. Get started with a free quote today at UGIES.com.
For the team at Cordasco Financial Network, a part of Mercer Advisors, financial planning is about more than just managing your money. They guide you in making retirement, tax, insurance, and estate planning decisions by creating a plan based entirely on your individual needs. Plus, Cordasco Financial Network professionals work one-on-one with business owners in creating and managing company 401k plans, IRAs, and defined benefit plans. They can help you maximize plan efficiency, ensure full regulatory compliance, and optimize tax obligations. Call 855-558-3500 or click the link in the description below to learn more. Let their team help you secure your future. 855-558-3500. Cordasco Financial Network is a trade name owned by Mercer Global Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Andrew Garrett Incorporated, which is not affiliated with Cordasco Financial Network or Mercer Advisors. Client experiences vary. Successful outcomes not guaranteed.
Johnny Apple's Restaurant and Bar opened in 2001 and for over 20 years has been serving great food and good times to Bucks County residents, friends, and family. Ideally located at 184 Buck Road in Holland, Johnny Apple's offers a terrific array of steaks, seafood, and daily specials. They also host private parties and affairs of any size. For excellent food, great company, and a relaxed lunch or dinner, check out Johnny Apple's Restaurant at 215-953-9900 or at johnnyapplesrestaurant.com.
Concrete Cutting Systems Incorporated, the concrete cutting specialists in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. These guys are celebrating their 28th anniversary as the industry leader in the field of concrete cutting and robotic demolition. Any type of concrete cutting or drilling, concrete demolition or interior excavating, call the specialists. Concrete Cutting Systems. They're the only full union concrete cutting company based in Philadelphia. Call the guys today at 215-533-0652. The website is concretecuttingsystems.net. Let's go Eagles.
I want to be a game changer in construction. I want to be able to provide diversity in the workforce, and it starts at the top. I started Rodriguez Construction Group in 2013 with 2 employees, and we're 85 strong today. M&T has been a great partner since day one, providing us the access, the opportunity, the funding to be able to continue our growth. We can change the community in a positive way, one person at a time, one job at a time, and one family at a time. I think M&T Bank is very committed to the community, just like us.
All right, Pat Callahan back here This Week in Pro Football. And let's bring this guy on, Xander, please. That would be my colleague here, long time NFL author and a columnist for the Dallas Morning News, the New York Daily News, and the author of numerous books on the NFL. He's got one coming out soon. We can't wait for that. That would be Gary Myers. Gary, how you doing?
Pat, how you doing tonight?
All right. Gary, I only have about 12 minutes now, so I want your best Ray Scott now. It's got to be clipped, and it's got to be concise.
Okay.
Your thoughts about a bad week for New York football? Just give me a quick take on both the Giants and the Jets and Zach Wilson in particular.
Yeah, just the easy one to talk about is the Giants. They've just got an unbelievable number of injuries, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to keep it competitive Thanksgiving afternoon in Dallas. And Daniel Jones, I mean, I feel bad for him because he really has improved as a player. Right. He's got no one to throw the ball to. Yeah. It's been that way most of the season, but Wan'Dale Robinson, who is coming on as a rookie ACL now.
I know.
He's throwing to practice squad guys. Yeah. As far as the Jets, Zach Wilson was just completely incompetent against the Patriots on Sunday, and then he just made it worse by not being accountable after the game. So, a big controversy all week now in New York. Robert Saleh comes out on Monday afternoon and doesn't name his quarterback for Sunday's game at home against the Bears. Probably will do it, by Wednesday.
Yeah.
To let his team know who's going to start. And a lot of people think he's just trying to kind of put a little motivation, fear into Wilson that the job is not a lifetime appointment.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, the Jets are 6-4. And he has an obligation to put the best guy out there. The Jets are in it. So, I mean, I think he has to seriously weigh whether Wilson is the guy right now. For the Jets, they got to find three or at least three more wins, if not four. So he has to weigh that pretty heavily.
Pat, it's so bad now with him that when he completes a pass, you think, something went wrong on the other side. It's just such a struggle. And the shame of it is, for Jet fans, is their skill position players, at least the wide receivers and the tight ends,
pretty good.
Are very, very good. Yeah. They lost a lot when Breece Hall suffered the ACL. Their running game has not been very good since he was injured. But Wilson is going backwards. He's not getting better. He's getting worse.
Just a word to Gary on the remarkable phenomenon of Kirk Cousins in primetime games. You were discussing this last week. And you were dubious about the Vikings, and lo and behold, they put up an absolute disaster of a game on national TV against the Cowboys. Where do you put Minnesota right now?
Boy, it's really hard to say because, all their victory, like they had won 7 in a row, and I think was all by one score.
Exactly.
And you say, well, when are they going to blow somebody out, or at least have an easy time of it in the fourth quarter? And they do the opposite reverse and just get their doors blown off at home. Yeah. The largest margin of victory on the road in the Cowboys' history.
Oh, man.
Against a team that was 8-1 that had, a lot of people thinking this was going to be a Super Bowl year. I just never been all in on Kirk Cousins. Yeah. I'm certainly not now. I think they will beat the Patriots because they have the advantage. Used to be that the teams are hosting on Thanksgiving. They were always on the road Sunday before. Yeah. Minnesota has the advantage of not having to go anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Minnesota, Gary, 8-2 with a -2 point differential.
That's unbelievable.
That is really startling.
Well, it got a little skewed because of
Sun
-37 against Dallas.
But I mean but it does speak to the fact, like you said, that they weren't blowing anybody out.
Right.
All right, let's talk though about Thanksgiving Day football, guy. I want to hit you with this now because you're a hard guy to surprise. Did you know that you probably do know this. In 1975, the Cardinals were annoyed that the Cowboys had commandeered that late afternoon Thanksgiving slot. And they went to the league and said, no, we want to host a few Thanksgiving Day games. They got their wish. They lost from 75 to 77. The final scores, the Cardinals always had the 14. It was 32-14, 19-14, and then Miami 55, St. Louis 14. And lo and behold, the Cardinals' Thanksgiving Day experiment ended, and the league went back to the Cowboys.
So, but that is surprising to me. So the Cowboys during that 3-year period did not host?
Now, the Cowboys did not host. They were one of the road teams that beat Dallas,
that
beat St. Louis, but they did not host then. But then I'm sure the league said to Tex Schramm, please come back here and host the game so we can get rid of the damn Cardinals.
Yeah, really. I'll tell you a couple of things about that, especially because I experienced that. I got to Dallas towards the end of the 81 season. So it was after Thanksgiving in 81, but then from 82 to 88, because I left Dallas in the spring of '89. Every one of my Thanksgivings was ruined by the Cowboys because I had to work.
Right.
And I mean, you get used to it after a while, but having Thanksgiving dinner in the press box is not my way of celebrating the holiday.
I agree.
But Landry always said, and I think it's still true today, that once you get to Thanksgiving, and the Cowboys in those days were winning all the Thanksgiving games. They haven't done so well recently. But he always used to call after Thanksgiving, we've made, making the turn for home. And he always just wanted to have the Cowboys in position to make a run for the division championship and the playoffs, obviously. And that's when he wanted his teams playing their best football. And, you can have ups and downs during the first 3 months of the season for sure. But it's how you're playing once you hit Thanksgiving that really will be a good indication of whether or not you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. So I think this is a really important weekend, not just for the teams that are playing on Thanksgiving, but on the weekend as well, because I think it will go a long way towards giving us some clarity on who the teams are that are going to really be strong contenders.
Right.
But I will say this about Tex, a brilliant marketer and showman that when the Cowboys first started hosting Thanksgiving, and I think it was 1966, they stepped up. Nobody else wanted it.
Yeah.
And Schramm, the Cowboys were only in their 7th year of existence.
Yeah.
He was looking to increase their visibility, and he says, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And nobody else wanted it.
I know.
So then when you have other teams, even recently, Pat, teams are saying, well, should Detroit host every year? And I think it's mainly because Detroit stinks every year. And, why give the Cowboys this? That's why they created the primetime game. Besides bringing in more television money, I think it placated a bunch of the teams that did want to host in Thanksgiving.
Right. You're right. It was in 1966 that the Cowboys started it. So, right. And obviously the Lions started in 1934. And sooner or later, they're going to get the hang of this, Gary. And they might actually win. Right? They might win a couple of games. One other thing about Thanksgiving I wanted to ask you, the John Madden phenomenon, the NFL now, and the NFL is really, now they basically have named created like a name now. It's going to be the John Madden Thanksgiving seemingly every year.
Yeah.
I think what Madden did, Gary, was he humanized Thanksgiving, right? Now they're giving out the turkey legs and all that stuff. And but to just talk about how profound his impact has been and whether or not you actually, during the games you covered, did you run across John?
Oh, I got to know John really well over the years, not just from Thanksgiving, but it seemed like during the period of time I was there, at least the first 3-4 years, the Cowboys were really good. And it was Madden and Summerall pretty much every Sunday. So, I used to call John all the time for stories I was working on. He was always very accommodating, just a great guy. I mean, a wonderful guy. But it seemed out of place to me when Madden and Summerall were doing the Detroit game, because there was always something special, I think, for football fans about the 4:00 game on Thanksgiving Day, and it was the Cowboys and the Cowboys America's team, and Madden and Summerall in your living room on late afternoon on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So,
but the NFL at the times, you remember the AFC, the road team determined which network had it. So if they stuck an AFC team in there in that late window, then CBS was going to cover the game. But
Pat, they alternated it.
Yeah,
CBS would get the early game, the Detroit game one year, and NBC would get the Cowboy game, and then they'd flip it the next year. And they still do that now between Fox and CBS. Regardless of who the visiting team is now, because you can't make sense at all on which network is going to have the game now based on who the visiting team. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Right.
But they do make sure, because I think the late window gets much better ratings, so they do alternate it between Fox and CBS each year.
Do you have an opinion as to whether the Lions should be the de facto early window team, or should they move that game around?
Yeah, I'm big on. I'm old school. I still believe in tradition.
That's right.
And it just would be much better if the Lions, one of these decades, would be good, and then make it a must-watch.
Right.
On 12:30 or 1 o'clock, whatever time they start that game.
Yeah.
That's what's been the bad part about it, is that the Lions have been so terrible, and you didn't feel compelled to watch the game unless the other team was a team you really wanted to watch. And that's kind of the case on Thursday with Buffalo. And I'll tell you what, I watched the Lions-Giants game. And not that the Giants are any, world beaters like we've been talking about all season, but the Lions actually look better.
Yeah, they do. They won 3 in a row. And I've said this, Gary, I don't know if I've said it to you during the time we've been together this year, but I mean, at some point you keep picking the top 5, you better get better. I mean, that's the benefit. The NFL just is socialist the way they skew that draft towards the lousy teams. So it's about time, as you've been saying, it's about time the Lions got good. But
yeah,
I think they could give Buffalo a decent game because the Bills appear to be in a little bit of a trough right now, and they're either going to blow the Lions out by getting right, or that's going to be a very competitive game.
I admit I have not read up on this, so maybe you know the answer to this. I don't understand why the Bills went back to Buffalo with 77 inches of snow rather than just hanging out in Detroit all week. I know it's not like hanging out in Miami.
Yeah.
In November, but why go through all of that?
Yeah.
Unless they just want to get the players home to their families.
I think that was really the impetus. The impetus was to try and stick to the schedule as much as possible. But if I was the players, I'd just don't worry about it, Sean. Don't worry about it. We'll hang out here for 3 days.
The schedule got blown up, Pat, when they had to play in Detroit rather than playing home this past Sunday. So, sometimes teams, the West Coast teams, when they come east, they'll stay east the entire week and the whole week. Here, you're just talking about, a couple extra nights in the hotel. And I just think logistically and wear and tear on the body, it would make more sense just to stay in Detroit.
Yep. All right, look at Gary. That segment just flew by. It just flew by like it always does when I bring you heavyweights on. So I apologize. It's so truncated. But listen, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And thanks a lot for joining me on a Tuesday. And I look forward to talking to you next week and throughout the season. All right,
Pat, I would join you on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Sunday morning. You just let me know.
All right, Gary. Thanks very much. Gary Myers joining me there from up in New York. Okay, that's it for our Thanksgiving edition of This Week in Pro Football. Not a great Sunday slate. The late game Rams-Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to kill them. So enjoy the Thursday football. Enjoy Sunday night football. And we will be back at our regular spot next week on This Week in Pro Football.